Hi, good morning once again, Hernandez students. It's Mrs. H, IB coordinator, and we are here for Thursday's edition of IB Flex or IB Advisory. For this week, we are studying IB ATL Skills, and today we're going to be discussing slides 18 through 30. And this is a continuation from the discussion that we had yesterday regarding skills 1 through 3. If you will remember, ATL stands for Approaches to Learning. And so these are all of those skills that you as a student are developing in order to increase your success as a student. So in each and every classroom, you have different skills that you can work on, and they will help you be successful in whatever projects you're working on, in whatever studying you're trying to do, and whatever concepts you're trying to understand. All right, and remember we had this chart up yesterday, and there are five different levels of skills. So we have thinking skills, which include critical thinking, creative thinking, and transfer. We have social skills that include collaboration, and so this is when you're working with other people in the class. We have communication skills, and think to yourself, how well can I communicate with others? Self management skills are going to include things like organization, effective skills, how do you act around others, and then also reflection. Do you know when you've learned something? And how much you've learned, and then for those parts that you haven't been able to learn, how can you go about making sure that you increase your success? And then last but not least, we have research skills. And this is going to be the type of thing that you're going to do in your classes when you're learning new information. So it's going to be information literacy and media literacy. Do you know the right sources to go to? Is this going to be something that you want, maybe a digital source? Maybe you want a source in the library. And so all these skills are really important for you becoming the best student that you can be. All right. So yesterday, remember, we discussed the first three categories. Today, for category number 4, we have research skills. And we talked about the information literacy. This is where you're finding, interpreting, judging, and creating your information for your classes. And then media literacy. This is interacting with different sources of media, and using them to look up and then create the information that you need for your project. So, the actions that you need to think about are, what are two things that you can start doing to improve your use of the library? Most teachers at some point during the year bring their classes to the library. It's not just for the ELA teachers, but your other classes as well. And then, what are two things that you can do to start to improve your online researching? Not every source is the same. Wikipedia is not going to be your best source of information. And so, where do you go based on what information you're looking for, and what sources can you trust to be accurate? And then your writing of reports. What are two things you can do to start to improve how you write up your reports? So, think about those things as we move on. All right, category number 5 is going to be your thinking skills. And so for critical thinking, you're analyzing and you're evaluating many, many issues and ideas. For creative thinking, you're generating novel ideas or new ideas and considering new perspectives. So, how many of you would consider yourselves a creative person? Transfer skills. These are those skills that you're going to be using. Both the skills and the knowledge in multiple contexts. That means, can you learn thinking skills in one of your classes, and then maybe you're doing something at home and you're like, oh, I remember what I did. I was successful at something I did at school, and then those skills can transfer to another setting in which you have to do something. All right, so memory training. This is one thinking skill that you can use as an IB student. And this is the key to successful learning is being able to think critically and creatively. So, doing both of those. So, for this one, your actions are going to be make a list of the words you're able to remember using his techniques of storytelling and using pictures to remember. And so, this is going to be your interactive assignment for today. And so, hopefully, you have a piece of paper out and you're ready to go. And he's going to tell you ways to memorize and then how to remember information.
If you'd like to memorize 10 times faster, this video will show how easily you can improve. You remember information in two main ways, as words using your verbal memory, or as pictures using your visual memory. They're different mental processes and they achieve dramatically different results. People never believe how absolutely crazy the difference is. So here's a challenge for you and you can prove it for yourself. First, let's test your verbal memory. I'll give you a list of 10 words and let's see how many you're able to remember. Here we go. Piano, elephant, truck, bottle, basketball, chair, pineapple, dog, painting, trampoline. Okay, pause the video and write down all the words you can remember.
Okay. And so I'm pausing right here. If your teacher will pause it, write down as many of those words as you can remember based on his storytelling. And then as soon as you're ready, go ahead and restart the video.
How'd you go? If you're like the average person, you are able to recall about 5 to 7 words, not necessarily in the right order. So that was your verbal memory. Now let's test your visual memory. I'll give you another list of words, but this time I'll also give a short story and draw a picture. To activate your visual memory, just create a mental picture of everything I describe and draw. You can even close your eyes if you want and just listen to my voice. Here we go. Ferrari. Imagine you're driving a bright red Ferrari with the top down. The music is pumping above the throaty growl of the engine and your hair is blowing in the wind. Chicken. With a loud thump, a giant chicken lands in the seat next to you. It's the size of a person, enormous and yellow. It must have fallen out of the sky. Watermelon. The chicken opens the car door and leaps out onto the road. As it stands there, an enormous green watermelon rolls over the top of it and keeps rolling down the road. Barack Obama. You watch the watermelon roll down the road and straight into Barack Obama. The watermelon splits in half and Obama is left standing there, dripping in watermelon juice. Poodle. Obama picks up a passing poodle and uses it to wipe juice off his face. The poodle is pure white, but as it soaks up watermelon juice, it slowly turns bright pink. Flagpole. Obama throws the poodle away. It flies through the air and lands on the top of a tall flagpole. The weight of the juicy poodle causes the flagpole to slowly topple over. Cake. With a loud and messy splat, the flagpole falls into the middle of an enormous birthday cake. Icing, cream, and candles go flying everywhere, raining down on people passing by. Doll. A large dollop of cream lands on the head of an oversized Barbie doll. It creates a weird chemical reaction and the doll shoots into the sky like a space rocket, blonde hair trailing behind her. Pizza. The doll rockets upwards and just as it starts to fall, a large pizza explodes open above her head like a parachute. The pizza is attached to the doll by long strings of melted cheese. Giraffe. The pizza eventually lands on the ground, covering the doll, and a giraffe walks over and starts eating the pizza, bending its long neck and stretching its tongue to lick up the delicious cheese. Skateboard. After eating too much pizza, the giraffe pulls out a skateboard, jumps on it, and starts gliding down the street, ducking signs and streetlights as it rolls along. Cigarette. The skateboard begins coughing and it stops and uses one of its wheels to light a cigarette. The cigarette becomes engulfed in flames and the skateboard throws it away. Statue of Liberty. The flaming cigarette flies through the air and lands on the torch being held aloft by the Statue of Liberty. The torch bursts into flames too. Ice cream. The Statue of Liberty comes alive and thrusts the burning torch deep into a big bucket of ice cream. It's cherry chocolate ice cream that melts and starts to bubble ominously. Fireworks. The ice cream explodes into fireworks, lighting up the sky above the Statue of Liberty with brightly coloured fireworks forming the words, "The End." Okay, pause the video again and write down how many words you're able to recall using your visual memory. The trick is to recreate a picture in your mind of each image in the story.
Okay, so at this point, again, teachers, if you will stop and have your students try to recall all those words using their visual memory. The first time around, you were just using your auditory memory or your hearing, but this time you're going to try to remember and picture the story as it was told and then see how many of the words you can remember. And when you finish with that, kind of share out and see the difference between just hearing words and then attaching those words to pictures to help you out. All right. So we are going to continue. So how are we going to use ATL skills? As IB students at Hernandez, you use ATL skills all the time. So all year you will be learning about learning. So, for example, what is learning? What is your learning style? Would you rather just hear information? Do you want to see information? Or do you like it better when you're in classes and you can actually participate and work with things? Another question is, how do you improve your memory? We've just talked about one of those ways, and that's with visualization, putting whatever you need to remember, even if it's, say, words, vocabulary words from your science class or informational text from your history class. Like, how can you put those into pictures or a story so you can remember them more clearly? And then, how can you increase your learning through collaboration, working with others? There are reasons that your classes and your teachers will put you into groups. So, not all groups are successful. What makes certain groups more successful than others? And how can you collaborate to be a successful group member? All right. So again, we are going to be using ATL skills all year long this year, and then for the other years you are at Hernandez. So one of our reflections, stress. How many of you at times suffer from stress? Many students, when you're suffering from stress, let their emotions interfere with clear thinking. So, a motivation might be know how to handle stress and to manage the effects of stress, and that will help you. So another reflection is how do your attitude and perspective affect schoolwork and tests? How do you handle failure? And this is one of my favorite quotes. Failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently, from Henry Ford. He's the one that started Ford, some of the first cars. Also, if you look at over to the side, we have fail on the side. And some students, when they think they fail, they think that they just have to quit because they're not good enough. They didn't understand it. Why do I have to learn this? But if you will look at fail as first attempt in learning, that just means that all things are hard before then, hopefully, you will struggle successfully and push through it and be more successful at being a student. What most people don't see about success, like if you see someone out there who has a successful company or something else in life, this is what people see. But all these things underneath the iceberg, we don't see. We don't see their early hours of dedication, their hard work, their discipline. They might have to get up early in the morning, they might have to stay up late at night. They might have had disappointments along the way. They've probably had to sacrifice many things. They've probably failed a few times prior to their success, but then they were able to push through it. And all of these things that you would do are considered to be ATL skills. So, all of these things make us unique as learners in both the way we prefer to learn and the way we see our world around us. And all these factors will affect the way you approach a task that you're asked to do. So, now what? If you become more aware of the ways you approach learning, as well as the ways you learn you will increase your success as a learner. So that's it for today, Bulldogs. I hope you've learned a little bit more about ATL skills. Watch for your teachers in your classrooms. Watch them use ATL skills as they help you to learn the content. So with that, Bulldogs, we'll see you next time for our next session of IB Advisory. Until then, have a great day.